Again, all you need is there at the bottom. Here you go for Panopto's sake. So we're going to get into the legality of federal versus state versus what are things. But it does help to understand the chemistry because there's legality associated with it, which most people are kind of unaware of, and it's just a rough landscape. So the marijuana plant, let's just say the cannabis plant, has multiple compounds in it which are physiologically active. The main ones that people focus on are THC, that is the Hollywood high compound, and CBD, cannabidiol, which is the one that a year ago became legal in Indiana. The amount of each of those compounds in various plants differs by 20-fold at least. So there's CBD type, which can have in the left column here, you're seeing what percent THC does it have and then what percent CBD. So a CBD type plant can have 15% CBD and 0.5% THC, whereas a THC plant can have 15% THC and 0.01 CBD, okay? So I'll kind of jump back and forth to this fact, but the cannabis plant is still a Schedule I drug by federal law. So Schedule I means it is very harmful, very addictive, and there's no known use for this medically, okay? And now there's state laws that basically say the opposite and say, no, there's a lot of medical use for this. And so I'll get to who wins that argument. The long and short of it is go by the state laws. The federal law should trump it, but it's not, and I'll talk about that. Okay, so last year, there's a lot to get over here, so if anything's unclear, tell me to slow down, back up, or clarification. So we have this plant, okay, which is literally a weed, okay, can grow anywhere. And as a high-level thing, I think people err on both sides of this argument. There are some people that say cannabis is a cure-all, it can help, help every ailment, and some people say it's a horrible gateway drug and you're going to go down a horrible road. There's a lot of data that shows it's in the middle, and some things are good and some things are bad. A lot we know specifically, and then an even more amount we don't know. So I'm going to tell you all of those realms. Okay, so there's a precursor compound, okay, olivotelic acid, and I took out all the intermediates, but it goes on to create CBD and THC. Why is that important? Well, we are only allowed in Indiana to have a certain amount of CBD, and that applies to a lot of states that have only CBD oil allowed, and I'll show you all those states in a second. So the testing for that often can find precursors, and those precursors could be considered going towards THC. So if you look at these precursors, if you found this compound, CBGA, it can become both, and that would make whatever you're selling, if it had that could be considered not a CBD oil. It has too much THC in it, okay? All right, so the big thing that happened last year, it was kind of under the radar, was we had this cannabis plant, and it can be thought of as a marijuana plant to have the Hollywood psychoactive effect, and it can create hemp rope, right, which people do in mass, totally for no human consumption, and it can create CBD oil. So how can you make hemp rope or clothing or whatever fabric if this plant is classified as Schedule I? So they classified hemp as a plant that had less than 0.3, I think. Is that right? I think it's 0.3, yeah, THC, okay? Now, so you can grow that and you can use it for stuff. The take home is that CBD oil, well, I'll pause on that. You can use that in every state functionally right now. Okay, any questions? Yes.
So for CBD oil, like, I understand that it is legalized or like decriminalized in every state, but like in some states like Colorado where cannabis is legalized, they still have like jobs and things like that that will drug test you for it and like still, like or whatever for it. And CBD can potentially also have THC or small amount of THC in it. Can that still be detected by like drug testing and things like that? Like should patients be worried about that kind of thing?
Theoretically, they could be worried, and realistically, they don't have to be worried. So of the products on the market that I've seen, most of them are very high percent CBD oil. And if it's just CBD, that doesn't go back and get converted to THC. So you're okay. But it is a little bit of the Wild West in what people manufacture. So there's an FDA-approved CBD oil I'll talk to you about. Clearly, you can prescribe that. That's why every state can do this now, because the federal government said, okay, that you can get this CBD oil. That's a much more expensive CBD oil than people can go and get next to their 5-hour energy shot, right, everywhere now. And those other ones are probably good enough, but you don't know. So if you will likely have patients that we'll talk about that will be using CBD oil. If they want to go the FDA route, that's great. You're totally in the clear. You can prescribe it. If they want to go with a cheaper option, it would probably benefit you to know some of the main brands that they can access that have been tested by third-party labs, and you can just routinely say, I've checked this every 6 months and they're legit still. Okay, that would be my recommendation.